I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All right, my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Welcome to the Let's Get Growing show right here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today. We've got a great show for you today. Hopefully, again, this is kind of a last minute thrown together weekend. I was supposed to be up in Seattle right now for the Northwest Flower and Garden Show. We were supposed to go have some fun, film a bunch of stuff and interviews and all that sort of stuff. But here I am, still stuck at home. But you know what? Fortunately, I get to hang out with all of you anyways. So that is really, really awesome. So we threw together a couple of shows for you, and hopefully we'll see our guest. And this is again too, because we've tried already a couple of times, and maybe again too today. So we'll see. But we should have with us today our good friend Jennifer Neubauer from Hook and Garden joining in with us for the conversation. And again, like I said, this is kind of all thrown together last minute. We'll see if things all work out and everything. But that should be a great conversation talking with Jennifer. And here in just a few minutes, though, too, also, we do have with us Audrey Crawford from Audrey's Little Farm. And we're going to talk all about her spring gardening summit. She's got a spring gardening summit happening this weekend. I believe it's kicking off here anytime now. So we're going to talk all about that and tell you all about how you can check out this really great fun gardening summit, learn some things, get some things planned out for your garden coming up, all that sort of stuff. They got a lot of great speakers. In fact, this garden summit, the reason why I wanted to talk about it was there's a few people who are actually speaking in this garden summit too, have been right here on our show. So again, like I said, we're just throwing things together. So if you did get a chance to catch us yesterday for our Saturday show, we got together and we hung out with our good friend Wendy Fan from Wendy Land, and she came and joined with us because she was up at the Northwest Flower and Garden Show that I was supposed to be at. We were all supposed to be hanging out together, but anyways, we got Wendy yesterday. She actually just got back home from the show, and so we got a kind of a review and a recap of her experience there while we were talking with our good friend Mark Roche Colbert, Mr. MBC from In the Garden, which you'll see here in just a few minutes. He was joined with us live yesterday from the Northwest Flower and Garden Show and kind of gave us a cool live look around the flower show and all of that, and even gave us a sneak peek meeting or scene. Anyways, we didn't really get to meet too much, but Kim Stoddard, who is our monthly gardening book club. I want to talk about that real quick. We got our monthly gardening book club. Every third Sunday of the month, we get together and we talk about some really awesome, really great books. So far, we've had about 10 different books that we've done so far. Some great, amazing authors joining with us each and every month when we're featuring such a different, really, some different variety of gardening books too. We're not just talking about how-to books, although they're in there as well too, but some really great stories like All the President's Gardens. We looked at the historical gardens of the White House over history. We've explored botanical gardens across the world, all sorts of stuff. And this next month we're going to be talking with Kim Stoddard. She is our featured author with her book this month, The Climate Change Resilient Vegetable Garden. And Kim was at the Northwest Flower and Garden Show, like I said, and Mark got to bump into her yesterday while he was on the show. So definitely want to mark your calendar for our third Sunday of the month so you can join with us and check out these really amazing authors and their really amazing books. So yeah, lots and lots of great things we got coming up here and growing on the Let's Get Growing show. I do want to mention this one more time. Again, I will probably be talking about this a little bit more. I think I'm going to break off some time on the show in the next coming weeks, maybe talk about this just a little bit more, because this was really great. Last week on the show, we had with us our good friend Greg Peterson from the Urban Farm, urbanfarm.com, Urban Farm podcast. And he and some friends and others in the Phoenix area for many, many years had this really great, cool, fun project they were doing, trying to, get seeds out to people, so that, he's a real seed advocate, so they created this little event that they were doing in Phoenix called the Great American Seed Up. And this is really great. I mean, it's bulk seed packaging set up so that people can come in this event and they can get like really cheap packets of seeds. Like we're talking 80 cents, $1 or something, and you can just scoop it out yourself and get a big amount of seeds. And it was just this really fun, cool project. But they had to kind of modify things when they couldn't gather anymore during the pandemic. And they came up and changed things into the Great American Seed Up in a box that they started doing locally with everybody who was involved with that event from all those years. And then so now what they're doing is they're launching this out to the public now, throughout the country. I'm not sure, again, I'm not going to overstate myself quite yet. I don't know if we I need to clarify this actually, because I was just thinking about this, if we actually mentioned this or not. It is called the Great American Seed Up, but whether or not it's available outside of the United States, I'm gonna have to clarify that. I will talk about that when we get into this a little bit more, because this is a really unique thing. Seed companies don't offer to sell individual gardeners like ourselves bulk seed boxes so that we can create basically our own little seed shop in a way, or seed gifts, or creating our own individual seed banks, you know what I mean, that we can do to create localized seed banks within your local area, again, again, talking about the pandemic, everybody remembers what happened when things happened there. All the major seed companies sold out of all their seeds. They weren't prepared for that kind of demand. You know what I mean? So in the long run, having individualized local seed banks is a really, really fantastic idea. The Great American Seed Up has a great way of doing that for you. And again, something really cool. I want to talk about this more. We're going to get into this in a couple of weeks as well. And hopefully what we'll do is we'll get one of these boxes and we can kind of go through it and really talk about really the potential of what this sort of offering has for us as home gardeners and all of that too. So lots and lots and lots of stuff coming up too as well on the show. We'll talk and dig into that a little bit more. I do want to kind of let you know real quick here. We do have a really great special guest next week on the show too. This is someone I've been trying to get on the show for a little while now. We finally got him booked on, and I'm really, really excited about talking to him. We've got Charles Dowding on the show next week. We're going to talk with him all about his no dig gardening and all of that. We're just going to really dig into no dig next week with Charles Dowding. That's really going to be exciting. So I'm really looking forward to that. So you'll want to definitely come and join with us next week on the show. If you are here with us right now, though, definitely click that like button, hit the thumbs up. Also, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming live streams and videos, as well as share with all your friends, all those garden groups and garden clubs and all of that. Let them know what we've got going on here each and every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Let's Get Growing show on the Urban Gardener channel. And yeah, I appreciate all the sharing that you can do out there and help us get this show really, really growing and get some people the opportunity to see what we've got growing on here. I mean, we're all so fortunate who are, myself for one, but all of you who've been following along with me here over the last couple of years and watching the show. We've been so fortunate with all of these just amazing guests that we get here each and every week. So let's get the word out there so everybody else can take part in that as well too. So awesome. Huge shout out to all of you who are following along with us on the replay. love to hear from you. Get down below in the comment section and leave me a comment there. Let me know if you got any suggestions. Maybe you might want to see a certain guest on the show, and let me know about any sort of guests that you might like to see on the show as well too. And yeah, drop in and say hi if that's all you gotta do. And I love to hear from all of you. If you are here and you have any questions or comments right now on the show, definitely drop those into the comments section. I already see we got lots and lots of conversation going on in the chat right now already. So jump on in, say hi, let me know where you're growing from and all of that, especially if you're new to the channel and the show. I would love to hear from you as well too. So would everybody else in the chat. If you do have any questions, big bold capital letters so they can see the questions from the conversation. I'll try to keep my eye out for all the other ones, but if you can, big bold capital letters for those would be really, really great. And definitely follow all the links down below for all of our guests and all of that as well too. And keep an eye out for links in the conversation as we've got our good friend in the chat with us, our facilitator. Oh, let's see here. Oh my. Jay Dixon. Thank you so much, Jay. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for links from Jay there in the conversation as we're talking here too as well. And you'll be able to get some more information on some different things that we're talking about, or as well, if you might have a channel or something here that you want a shout out for. We love getting shout outs. So if you do have your own channel or something like that, mention that you have a channel. And I know Jay will be all right on top of it and drop a link in our chat for everybody else and give you a big shout out there as well too. So thank you so much as well. Also, you know what? Actually, I was going to do this too. I'm wearing this hat today. Everybody knows I got these nice, cool hats. I always get great comments on them too. But if you I'm just going to throw this out for all of you. I'll tell you all just a little bit later though too. If you can take a guess what significance this hat has. This hat is kind of a special hat. It's probably an easy guess if you were just throwing guesses out there, but I'll let you throw some ideas out in the comments there, and then I'll let you know all later on as well too. And we'll talk about if I remember. Make sure to remind me maybe because I might forget. Who knows if I hold on a tease like that for later. So. Right on, everybody. We also got our moderator, Adam Burley, joining us from right down the road, right here in Central Point, Oregon. We're here in Southern Oregon. Thanks, Adam, for being in the chat with us there. Let's see. I see DLR 978 in the chat. Thank you for joining with us, Lawrence, awesome. I'm not sure. I think that's a new name. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you joining with us here on the show. That's really awesome to have you here. Let's see. We got, I see Bowtie Life in the Garden. David's here with us. And let's see. I see Rick. Rick's in the conversation, joining us, as I say, from the future. Nice and bright and early from Australia there, Rick. Thank you so much for being here with us. Mobius. Awesome. Massive thaw of 3 feet of snow. Oh, wow. It looks like you're getting all the snow that we were getting this last week. Yeah, we had a lot here. It was really, really crazy snowing for just a lot of snow ultimately. But you know what? It's so warm around here still. I mean, we had that great snow, but our area is so warm still in the winter. All that snow melted right away. It was gone. All right, we got Tony in the conversation. Tony O'Neill from Simplified Gardening. Great to see you, Tony. Thank you for being here with us. It's always great to see you jumping into the conversation. Thank you so much. Let's see here. English Ladies Kitchen Garden. I see you're back in the chat there. Awesome. So awesome to see you today. Thank you for joining with us. All right. I'm hoping I'm not missing anybody here. Just trying to kind of take a quick little spin through here. I see Darth X in there. Talking about catnip. Oh, missing that part of the conversation, I see. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Jersey Girl, awesome to see you jumping in there. I see Big Will Dog as well in the soil. I see Audrey's little farm jumping in there as well, too. She's in the background right now. We're going to jump in and talk with her in just a few minutes here. Let's see here real quick. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. And if I have, I'm sorry. Janet, there we are. Good to see you, Janet. Mill Creek. Awesome. Still growing those mushrooms. Thank you so much for those. It's so fun, such a fun project. Maybe Jay can drop another link in for Mill Creek there as well too, and maybe anybody who might be interested in getting like a mushroom kit, go check them out there. It's really fun. I love that. I'm not much of a mushroom person, but it's been really fun growing those for sure. So thank you for those as well too. All right, everybody, we're gonna get moving along here. Real quick, let's see here. I got to get this. We're just kind of going along here, though, too. We usually do here on the Sunday our in the garden segment, and Mark usually joins with us with a really great kind of in-depth, giving us some sort of garden lesson or and such. But he's up at the Flower and Garden Show. He's doing some things. He's busy. He did actually another reason to go back to yesterday's show. He did a really great segment for us, wandering around and getting some clips and some stuff from the Northwest Flower and Garden Show that we put together as a little segment. So he did that for us. So we didn't really have too much to really do for the in the garden segment this week. So we pulled something from his Instagram just to kind of, everybody knows he's a teacher up at the Montessori school up in Portland, Oregon, and teaches just young kids all the way through middle school about gardening and all of that at that school there. And they got some really cool gardens and such. And so I just want to take this little clip. It's literally like less than a couple of minutes. We're going to watch this little clip for our In the Garden segment today. And then right after that, in our first break here real quick, we're going to get right with Audrey's little garden, little farm, and talk about this really great spring gardening summit. Awesome, everybody. I hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, Mark Boucher-Colbert, MBC, garden specialist at Franciscan Montessori Earth School in Portland, Oregon. We're here in a special part of our garden called the Milpa Garden. We've been improving it this week. We've created paths, we've created little borders, we've created archways. The important thing about Milpa is that it's unlike the rest of our gardens, which are more traditional row crop, linear, one crop per bed kind of systems. Milpa is a polycultural garden, taking inspiration from the ancient gardens of Mesoamerica, some of which actually I need to say are still in cultivation today, so continuous cultivation for thousands of years. Not just an ancient tradition, but contemporary as well. So we're taking some of those Milpa principles and adapting them to our own purposes here in the Pacific Northwest. But basically we're going to be growing a wide variety of crops together. Not just plants for humans, but we're going to be doing stuff for the pollinators, seed crops for birds. We have already cultivated this in a Milpa style over the last couple of years. We've done the Three Sisters, the corn, beans, and squash. We've done sunflowers. This year we'll add some gourds, probably be doing sweet potatoes in here. But the whole point is everything's kind of planted all together in the same beds. They kind of help each other, relate to each other. We'll see what we learn from some of our plantings. Milpa gardening at Franciscan Montessori Earth School, Portland, Oregon. There we go.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible feature visits. Oh, let's get this. Yes, excellent. Um, Fun little segment there from Mark up at the Montessori school there too. Mark does so much fun stuff with, one of them being teaching those kids there at the school, the gardens there and the different garden spaces that they're creating them, and just teach them all that sort of stuff too. He also does this really cool rooftop garden. He takes care of a rooftop garden up on this building in downtown Portland. It's just really amazing and everything. We talked a little bit about that yesterday as well too, because that kind of takes me back a little bit when I think about when we first met all those years ago up on that rooftop and everything. It's such a was a fun project. But anyways, thanks to Mark again too for doing that segment for us and also joining us yesterday. So go back and check out yesterday's show if you didn't get a chance to check that out. All right, everybody. Real quick too, has anybody tried to guess yet about what the significance of my hat is today? If you have any ideas or just guesses, that's all we're trying to do is just throw out some guesses. If you got any significance, I'll tell you about that here just a little bit later on. But for right now, we've got with us a really great special guest today, and I thought it would be a great idea. I saw this like a little ad for this, and then I noticed a few people on the speaker list. I was like, wait a minute, I know a few of those people on that are going to be a part of this really fun gardening summit. It's the Spring Gardening Summit, and it's again just sounds like a lot of fun. It's getting launched here just anytime now. I mean, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about that here in a minute and how you can get and take part of this really fun spring gardening summit. So let's welcome to the show Audrey from Audrey's Little Farm or Little Farm, right?
Yes.
All right.
Thanks
But
for having me.
we're here talking about the Spring Garden Summit though, right?
Super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking your time here to be with us and talk about this fun garden summit. It looks like like I said, you got a lot of really great speakers there talking about all sorts of really great things going on. But before we really jump into that, let's give you just a minute real quick here. Introduce yourself to everybody. Let everybody know about Audrey and Audrey's Little Farm and all of that. And then we'll dig right into this really fun garden summit you got coming up.
Yeah, of course. Excuse me. So I am from the Central Valley of California. It's Zone 9B for anyone who's not familiar with the area. And I'm come from 4 generations of family farmers. So I've always been involved in ag and farming and everything, but I've always had that side garden, so I always helped on the family farm, but I always was even more interested in actually growing a home garden. And so ever since I was a little kid, I was always out there helping my great grandpa with his garden and my grandpa. And basically my whole life I've been growing a garden. And so as I got older, that was just one of the things that everyone would always ask, like, hey, when do I plant tomatoes? When do I do XYZ? And so that's what inspired me to start the blog in the first place. So I started with the blog, Audrey's Little Farm. Now we have a little bit of everything. We have products, a YouTube channel, a podcast. It's really grown into an incredible online business that I'm so thankful for. And it's just allowed me to connect with so many home gardeners, which is really my passion because, not everyone has that much space, but everyone has space to grow at least a potted garden, even if it's an herb in the windowsill. And I feel like, having that, even that tiny bit of self-sufficiency is just such a wonderful thing. And so that's really where my passion is. And so I started doing these online summits, and they've really turned into this incredible event that has allowed us to reach so many people. And anyway, so that's kind of a high level overview, but I have lots of things where people can connect. But I'm Audrey's Little Farm on everything, but the summit itself is called the Spring Gardening Summit.
Excellent. Yeah. That's great. And again, I got a link down below for you so you can go check out this really great Spring Gardening Summit. So real quick here, let's dig into this really fun gardening summit. And let's talk about real quick though, who is this event for?
So the great thing about this event is that even though this is a wide audience, it's truly for everyone. We have presentations that are geared towards people just growing in an urban backyard who may only have a couple containers. And then there's some really incredible presentations that go more in depth, like saving seeds from, various crops, which could be beginner or more high level, we have speakers teaching on growing medicinal herbs for your health and making, tinctures and different things for your own family's medicine. We have presentations on how to preserve your harvest. Let's see, I wrote down a few. We have Adam Martin. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with his name. He's teaching on natural beekeeping. We have seed starting tips, growing veggies in a green stock with Joe McSheehy. It's just a wide range of things. So it's truly for everyone, even myself, as I've been going through. And, I consider myself a pretty experienced gardener. Even I have been going through, as I upload these presentations onto our website and still getting some great takeaways of things that I, wasn't even aware of. And so I really encourage everyone to check it out. And by the way, we start tomorrow morning. So if you're listening in real time, you're not too late to sign up. And what's really cool is actually each day, the presentations are available for 48 hours. So if you catch this tomorrow, you still have, a full day to watch. And then there is an option to upgrade for replays, but you can watch every day for 48 hours for free.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. That's really awesome. That is great. And so this event's basically just for any gardener out there. There's so much available in all of the different things that you've in different speakers. Like I said, it's covering just a bunch of different subjects, all sorts of different topics, all sorts of things. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Those sort of topics. You mentioned like one or two there, but let's talk about these presentations. Let's dig in a little bit more on what kind of presentations you have available there at the Spring Garden Summit.
Perfect. So the first day, so tomorrow, day one of the summit, we have kind of broken each day into themes. So tomorrow we're calling it Gardening Foundations, which even if you consider yourself advanced, there's still some really great info in here. But on this day, basically, you're going to learn all the essential gardening techniques from seed starting to growing vertically to starting your seeds indoors and directly sowing them outside. So no matter what skill level you feel that you're at or your space constraints, you're going to learn something tomorrow to really grow that thriving garden that thrives year round. And then day two is all about sustainable and productive gardening. So this day is going to focus on practical and cost-effective strategies, ways to enhance your garden naturally. So bringing in pollinators and naturally, keeping pests away with interplanting herbs and beneficial flowers and things like that. And then the third day is all about gardening for health and wellness. So on this day, we're going to be talking about growing medicinal herbs and how you can use them for your health and focusing on growing those medicinal herbs and then how to use them. We have a few presentations on how to preserve your harvest. And then you're also going to just learn the practical ways that the garden can actually just help with your health and wellness, your well-being of being outside, getting your kids outside, being with your family, just spending more time outdoors in general. And so I think that's, one of the top benefits of gardening for sure. And so those are the three different categories basically. And then on the fourth day, I will be having a few live sessions where I'm going to share kind of my tips for how I grow year-round garden, which I know, of course, kind of depends on my climate, obviously, but a lot of the tips people can apply to their garden, whether that be greenhouse growing or bringing some stuff indoors, things like that.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, like I said, so much great stuff available at this really great gardening summit. And like I was mentioning to everybody there before I brought you on, though, too, it just happened to be, I'm such a garden nerd. That's all my social media is. That's all I see when I see that. So I was just flipping through some things and I saw something for someone. In fact, it was probably one of the presenters who was saying something about it. I was like, I got to look into that. And then I started noticing that there were a few other people I'm very familiar with in all of our audiences, too, of this show. There are 3 different speakers you have speaking at the Spring Garden Summit who've been on the show. Our good friend Bevan Cohen.
Oh yes, his presentation was the one that I just think it's like so incredible. If you guys just show up for that one, it's worth signing up for.
Yeah, Bevan is the best. He's one of the greats, that's for sure. He's such a great guy. I've known Bevan for years now. We've hung out together many years at the National Heirloom Exposition and stuff, and he's been on the show few times. One of the original guests of our show, actually, from Small House Farm. So anything Bevan does, it's going to be great. It's going to be so full of good stuff. And not only that, Bevan brings a level of passion to things that just really, really takes things to a whole new level. That's what Bevan's all about. You also have Josh Gardens from the Plant Techie. He's kind of new to the gardening scene this last year or so, man, but he's again got a great personality, puts out really great content. So I can imagine whatever presentation that he's made for you too as well. Like I said, you got a couple of great ones there, as well as Carly McQuarrie from Little Green Shoot. She's been on the show before in the past as well too. And again, like I said, you got those for you who've been here. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about some of these other great speakers as well too. And maybe, again, what made you kind of think of the idea of like reaching out to some other folks and really building and putting this together as well too, maybe as you talk a little bit about some of these speakers you reached out to.
Yeah, of course. So first, I just want to mention Josh and Carly's presentation. So Josh, for anyone who isn't familiar with him, he is the tree, like the fruit expert for sure. And him and I personally have actually had a podcast interview, and he's been a speaker now twice for the summits that I run. And he is just such an incredible wealth of information as far as growing fruit. And his presentations are all about growing fruit in containers. And I think it's just super awesome because it's not something, I think a lot of people just think they can't grow fruit in containers. And so he even just, he shows pruning techniques of how to keep them small and not even just growing dwarf varieties, like growing a, full-size fruit tree, but just the pruning techniques that keep them small. And so his presentation is really inspiring and very motivating. So for anyone, no matter what kind of space you have, his presentation is great. And then Carly is actually talking about growing fruit in an urban backyard also. And she has some really great tips. So that's what they're both talking about actually tomorrow. They're on day one. And then some of the other speakers we have probably a lot, we actually have 23 presentations total, 22 different speakers, and I guess, and then myself, and a few names that people might know. So Robert Pavlis, he's one of our really great speakers. He's actually from Canada, and he's the author of multiple books. He has the Garden Myths books, Food Science for Beginners, Composting for, I don't know if it's composting for beginners or gardeners, or compost science, along those lines. But he has some really great books on plant health, soil health, composting. And I really love he's very practical, and he talks a lot about garden myths. And I think it's really interesting because a lot of the stuff that he teaches is things you see floating across the internet and you're like, oh, that can't be true. And he's out there busting it. So his information is really great.
Excellent.
Jag Singh, he's actually also here from California, and he has Daisy Creek Farms. It's a big YouTube channel, and he talks a lot about organic gardening, and his family has a U-Pick farm up here in California. Yeah. And he's teaching all about growing potatoes, and it's one of the most in-depth presentations, literally from how to chit the potatoes, how to harvest them and store them and cure them, and all the steps along the way. So his presentation is awesome. Let's see here. We have Allie Reynolds, and she has her site is Allie's Organics Homestead, I believe. She has a YouTube channel, and she actually has an in-person store as well. And so she's teaching all about how to save money by growing a garden. And it's just really insightful. All just, really awesome tips where I think, the initial cost of setting up that garden might kind of seem like a burden, but the long-term benefit of growing that garden really can save you a lot. And so her presentation is about, saving money with the garden.
Wow.
Let's see here. We have the Garden Girls. They're from Texas, and they're teaching all about raised bed garden design. And that's actually their job. They actually go to people's gardens and help set up those raised bed gardens for them. So they have some really unique insight because that's actually what they're doing for a living. They're not just growing them themselves. They're going and helping people start, from scratch to build that really beautiful raised bed garden. We have Jacqueline Litton. She's the Wild Floridian on YouTube. She's from Florida, and she's talking all about bringing in pollinators to your garden, mostly with your native plants, which is really interesting and really awesome for everyone. Even if you can't grow the native plants, she talks about just growing native plants that are native to you, what a benefit that is to your garden, because then you're really attracting those native bees, and they grow a lot better because usually your native plants are native to your area, and they're going to thrive and usually require less water. So she really speaks on the importance of bringing in those natives. We have Heidi Villegas. She's talking about growing medicinal herbs. She is just a wealth of knowledge. She's so awesome to listen to. Heather Levin, she also runs a summit. She actually runs a chicken keeping summit. And so her and I have connected, in the back end of like running these events side by side. And she's going after the chicken keepers. I'm going after the gardeners, but a lot of these people really mix. And so her summit's actually coming up in March. and it's the Backyard Chicken Keeping Summit. But she's talking about growing herbs for chickens, which I think is just super fun because you can obviously use them for yourself, but you can also grow them for your chickens, and it's really beneficial. So that's what she's talking about. And then one more name you guys might know, Sharon Peterson. She's talking all about food preservation, and she's been in the online space for quite a while.
There's an important topic, right?
Yeah.
Something we don't really think about too much. We get into the growing and all that stuff, but now it's like we got all this stuff. What are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
Right. So that'll be a great one.
Yeah. So I obviously didn't name them all off. I just kind of was going through my list of naming off a few names that might stand out, but the really
lots
cool
of
thing,
great stuff. That's just amazing. A really, really great lineup.
And I like it because it's, it's a wide variety of topics. And in my opinion, I'm like, they're all worth watching, but there's different topics, if you're never going to preserve your food, go ahead and skip those presentations. And there's still plenty of others that are probably going to be really beneficial for you.
Yeah.
And
so
I think
really quick, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, let everybody know a little bit about how everybody can join. It's really actually simple, everybody, but I'll let you talk about a little bit about that. And again, maybe kind of give a good rundown of everything everybody can expect going forward. But link right down below in the description. There's a link. You guys it's that easy, really. You can just get down and click that link, and you can go and get yourself a free ticket to this Spring Gardening Summit.
Yes. So like you said, the link is below in the description, but if you just type in springgardeningsummit.com, that'll take you right to the website. Perfect. He has the link directly to the registration page, which is even better. But either way, you're going to find the registration page. So if you actually sign up within the next couple hours, we're actually doing our live kickoff call at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today. And so anyone who signs up prior to that, you'll right away when you get your email, you'll see the invitation to our kickoff call, and we can maybe connect some more. But anyways, when you sign up, you're going to get an email right away from me, from Audrey at Audrey's Little Farm. It's going to give you all the summit information. Basically, all you need is the schedule link, which is going to be in that first email you get. And then tomorrow morning, when everything goes live, that schedule page will have all the live links. So it's super simple. You don't actually have to, unlike some summits where they actually run the event live at every hour of the day, everything for tomorrow goes live at 6 a.m. in the morning Pacific Standard Time. And then you can tune in whenever you want over the next 48 hours. So, or, once they go live for 48 hours. So I did this just because I realized obviously people have jobs and they work and they can't tune in every hour of the day at different scheduled slots. So I put them all available, or, I released them all at the same time. And then you have 48 hours of free access to tune in, on and off throughout the day. So it's really super simple. There's only one link you really need, and that's the schedule. And it will be emailed as soon as you sign up.
Perfect. Excellent. I hope you all go and check this out. I'm gonna get right into it. It's getting started here, so I'm gonna enjoy this. This is gonna be really fun. So I hope all of you as well too. Like I said, I've got a link down below, but all you got to do is type in thegardensummit.com.
Spring Gardening Summit.
Springgardeningsummit.com there. And then you should be all set and get yourself going. Get a free ticket. Join this great gardening summit. And like we said, Audrey has her Audrey's Little Farm as well too. And I was mentioning before we got on for the show today that we're going to have Audrey back so we can talk about Audrey's Little Farm and get into all of that sort of stuff, because we love really good gardening stories around here. So we'll invite you back and have you back on the show and talk all about that coming up. But everybody definitely go and check the link down below to, again, the Spring Gardening Summit, and check out all of these great guests. And again, like I said, we got 3 great guests that we've had already on the show before: Bevan Cohen, Carly McQuarrie, and Josh Gardens doing presentations, as well as a bunch of others. So definitely go and check that all out. Again, Audrey, thank you so much for spending your time today talking about your spring gardening fair. We definitely do look forward to seeing you again.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you guys at the summit.
Excellent. You got it.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye. Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants, and author, Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat, as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils. which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. One application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
All right, everybody. Awesome. Again, that sounds like a really fun gardening summit. I'm really excited about that. I really want to check this out. It's going to be great. I hope you guys do too. Thanks again to Audrey for joining with us here today. And as I've been asking you already throughout the show, there's been a few people have already taken a guess as to what the significance of this hat is here. Everybody knows I like to wear my hats. I've got different ones and everything, but this one, it's got a certain significance to it. I don't see anybody who's kind of gotten it quite yet. We did have Bowtie Life, David. He said golfing. I like to golf every now and then. It's not a real big thing for me. It is fun to get out and do that, but no, not golfing. And Big Will Dog says hat. It's a shroom. I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Does it look kind of like a mushroom or whatever? And Janet said the hat reminds me of Payne Stewart. I'm sure. Again, too. Yeah, that's great. And yeah. So, anyways, the significance of this hat is, and it's really just simple, and is that this was the very first hat I wore, the very first. So, if you go back and you check out my very first video that I put out on my YouTube channel, you'll see I'm wearing this hat right here. So that's what the significance of this hat is right here. It's the very first hat I wore on the Urban Gardener. It was the very first video of the Urban Gardener channel. So yeah, that's kind of the fun significance of all of this hat here. So definitely, it's so I saw that, I was like, I haven't worn that one in a while. I try to get it out every now and then, but again, too. Right on. Rick says cool. That's awesome. Excellent. And also I did see this comment here. Mobius put in just asking the English lady here if they ever watched Ellie and Kate in the garden with Ellie and Kate. And that's something I actually forgot to mention to you when I was mentioning that we've got Charles Dowding, who's going to be on the show next Saturday. Well, Ellie and Kate's going to join with us for the Are You Following Me segment as well, too. So they're going to be here joining us from Scotland, and we got Charles from UK. We're just going to have a fun UK show next Saturday and hang out with them as well, too. So again, too, definitely want to join us for that fun show as well, too. And so yeah, definitely. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Excellent. All right, let's get moving on. Today we've got a great guest with us here today. We've been trying. We just kind of working on something, getting here, there, whatever in the background, trying to do it. And then we've tried a couple of actual shows, and then here we are. We finally got her here back on the show with us today. So let's welcome our featured guest.
You never know when you might learn something, and that's what this is about for me. These are people that I admire. Please welcome my next guest.
All right, today's featured guest is Jennifer Neubauer. I met Jennifer Neubauer a few years back. We got involved with kind of a let's just say it was a gardening contest. That's all I'll say about that. And really, ever since, though, it's been fun following along with her on her Instagram page and all of that. She does some great reels and shares a lot of really great stuff. So let's welcome to the show our good friend Jennifer Neubauer from Hook and Garden. Thank you for coming back to the show. Thanks, Jennifer. Good to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a little while since we had you on the show, so let's give you just a minute here to kind of reintroduce yourself to everybody. Tell us a little bit more about you. Tell us a little bit more about Hook and Garden.
Awesome. Yeah. So Hook and Garden is a space that I created via social media to extend my knowledge to the world. So it's kind of like a modern age homestead and wellness blog where I enjoy teaching people how to not only grow their own food, but to translate that into the kitchen and create their own recipes, or utilize that food that they're growing in a wellness capacity to feed their families or themselves. I recently translated that also into a brick and mortar, which is now my little store that people can come and visit me in New York and enjoy that garden to table fresh right there for them.
Yeah.
So it's ever evolving, but my passion is to spread that knowledge of food and where it comes from and wellness and how it is all intertwined and keeps
Yeah.
the world moving round and round.
That's right. That's right. Man, I'm telling you, I love it. It's great. And yeah, again, too, you make some really good content and everything as well, too. So I really encourage everybody to follow along and with Hook and Garden. I got a link down below. It's, we got links for all of our guests in the description below. But let's kind of dig into your garden story a little bit. How did your garden story start in a way? Like what was it? Was this back when you were really young? Were you influenced in the garden when you were a kid, or is this something that you just kind of came to on your own?
No, so when I was young, my parents moved to a 75-acre dairy farm in upstate New
Oh,
York, and my grandparents were always a central part of our life, living really close by. So between my parents, who kind of had a homestead with a farm, and my grandparents, who were really big gardeners, I was gardening in the garden around the farm, kind of a little bit more sustainable from a really young age, and somehow absorbing it all in the background, even though I was kind of playing and doing all the things that kids do. So I think my gardening story started when I was extremely young, and it's followed me through the years in different capacities, living in the city, having a city garden, now living out east and having a commercial garden that feeds my business. It's something that
mhm.
I've always been passionate about. It continues to keep me curious, and it's just fun to take what's most fresh and in season and translate that onto a plate, and to show people how easy it can be to not only grow your own food, but also to use that food and to create fun things with it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you kind of hit the key to why I think that I enjoy your reels and your content so much is because of that kind of element of things there. I'm not the best cook and I'm not as, I could make some videos and stuff like that, but you got a real great creativity when it comes to taking the garden and bringing it into, you know what I mean? Like you said, into the kitchen, or utilizing it in different other ways that you might use your garden for and everything too, as
Mhm.
well too. So you got a cool, the little reels and everything, giving cool little tips and tricks and lessons on how to do all of these sort of things. And I think that's a real good specialty for people out there and we kind of touched on that a little bit in the previous interview too, talking about, hey, we grow all these gardens, we get all this food at the end of the year, and so she's in her summit, she's got a preservation thing, talking about preservation. Well, there's all of these sort of things that go on after we grow food as well too, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's, how do we make that more accessible for people? How do we
Yeah, yeah.
um I think that the knowledge has been with us for centuries, and we're just merely building upon it, right? These are all lessons that have
Mhm.
been taught before us, but
Yeah.
how do we continue to reach maybe newer gardeners, or people
Hmm.
who are curious about gardening, or curious about how to preserve their own food, or chickens, or beekeeping?
Yeah.
How do we make that something that's fun and exciting and creative, and an outlet that feels accessible to everybody?
Yeah, yeah, and that really is important. I had a guest on a while back ago, and we were talking about, like it. And I don't know if anybody's really done numbers on it for sure, where you can find the real information on it, but it's thought out there that gardening has kind of a high fall off rate Like a lot of people get started with it, but then a lot of people give up on it right away.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So if we're doing things that can be really more encouraging on our part as people who are, trying to lure people into this fun passion, this fun, whether it's a hobby or you're actually doing it for growing your own food, or in your case, even a commercial garden and those sort of things, to bring people into it and help it be more, like you said, accessible, right?
Yeah, and knowing that there's no such thing as failure in the garden, there are
Yeah,
only
exactly.
lessons. I think that that's half of the battle is, when people start their gardens, we have these expectations on how we're going to create an outcome that we want. But what you forget is that you're dealing with something that is alive and something that is living. And there are so many variables that are out of your control. So, how to continue to be open minded about the garden, going into it feeling like everything is a learning lesson and you can only build upon that knowledge every time that you try to garden.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really, and that's really important thing to, I think, to really emphasize as experienced gardeners to those newer gardeners is that we, early on, it's kind of like expectations. Don't think you're gonna have a big, beautiful garden right away. I've always told people, and I got this lesson from a recent guest, Greg Peterson, that our first garden's always our worst garden.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? It really is. And then from there we learn, and we take that, and we take those opportunities to, and not really necessarily call them failures in a way when we're so early on. When I'm doing things now though, as an experienced gardener, and I'm messing things up and I'm really killing some things and doing things that I know better at, that's a failure. If you're new to gardening and you're just getting started and just getting growing and all of that, that's not a failure. That's just a learning process and all of
Right.
that. I fail at things. You're learning to do things.
I
No,
think
I mean, I know I'm still learning too. I mean, that's just kind of a tease on that.
it
But
could be maybe more like laziness or,
I'm telling you, yeah, exactly. I
yeah,
know what I'm doing. I got another day. They'll be fine. And then you come back
exactly.
the next day, like, oh yeah, right. I guess I
I
should have
knew
done
I
that
knew
when I
I
was
should have
supposed
done
to
that
do it.
yesterday.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. And we all do it. It's all a part of the thing. Another thing we say as experienced gardeners to newer gardeners is that, I dare you to kill as many plants as me, you know,
Mhm. It's
because,
part of the
don't,
course.
don't let that happen. Don't let that get you down. I know you wanted to be successful growing this or that and everything, but man, chalk those things up, mark them, as I don't know, not necessarily reminders, but kind of pride in a way. Be proud of those things because you're
Mhm.
learning and you're figuring it out, and when you'll remember all of that when you start having some of those really great things growing out of your garden, and you're like, oh man, it's so
It's
worth the process to get to where I am now.
Isn't that like the analogy to life? I think that's another really
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah,
thing that
exactly.
the garden teaches us always is there are so many parallels to life that we can take, right? So there's that constant curiosity to learn more and the evolution, what you're building in your garden, the soil, that microbiome, but
Hmm.
also, the lessons of that birth and rebirth and
Yeah.
all that comes along with it. There's some really incredible parallels and a lot of beauty that can come from lessons in the garden.
Yeah, and that's something we talk about a lot. I've had a lot of guests where we just kind of dig into those sort of angles of everything too. It really is. If you give gardening a chance, now, speaking to newer gardeners out there, and this idea that, okay, first garden's not your best garden, you're gonna kill things and you're gonna have learning lessons, not failures, that sort of stuff. But then also, if you give it a chance, what you're going to end up finding is what we all really kind of find who are really passionate about gardening is there's this moment where you kind of realize, wait a minute, my garden's giving me more than just say these beautiful flowers if I got a cut flower garden. You know what I mean? That garden's giving me more than just the food I'm getting if I've got a kitchen garden. My garden's giving me more if it's just a landscape. However you garden, when you get to that moment where you realize, wait a minute, I'm getting more out of this than just just the natural beauty of it or the food or the flowers and all of that. I'm getting like this well-being, this sense of almost spirituality, and it comes from this connection to nature that we're allowing ourselves to have in that process of gardening, you know, from putting our hands in the soil to nurturing and caring for a plant through all of its stages, and you know, that sort of thing. And there's magic in that, sort of like what you were saying. It's amazing, and I think that seals the deal. If you give gardening a chance to go through all of that sort of stuff to get to that, you'll find that moment where you'll find that magic in gardening, and then it just seals the deal. You'll be a garden enthusiast, nerd, whatever you want to call it, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, and for me, that is why gardening and wellness are so integrally tied.
Mhm.
I don't think that you can separate one from the other. There's a sense of, like you said, well-being, but it's a meditation. You know, like when you turn it all off and you go and you put your feet in that soil or your hands in that soil, when you connect with the earth in that capacity, there's no way that you're going to walk away feeling worse.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Your knees might creak a little bit at the end of the day,
Yeah.
but that's not, you know, that's just what you get from the whole experience in that day, just makes up for it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's for us old guys in the garden, you know.
Yeah, that's what raised bed gardening is for.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. My raised beds are getting taller and taller every
Okay,
year.
we're like up to here now. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's, you know, again, too, that's just really the fun thing about, you know, the experience of gardening is to get those experiences, and we've got to allow ourselves that process and to do that. And again, too, coming back to, you know, what you're doing with what you're doing out of your garden, and sharing your experience through your reels and the content you're doing at Hook and Garden, you know, is, you know, like I said, I think it's great stuff. Like I said, it takes it to a place I can't do with my content. You know what I mean? I'm just not that creative. And I just love some of the stuff that you do on that other sense. Maybe you could talk about some like recent things that you've done, you know, maybe on some of your more recent reels or something like that, you know, maybe kind of as an example of some of the things that you're doing over there.
Yeah, so on some of my more recent reels, I've been, I'm still utilizing vegetables from my summer garden from last year.
Oh,
So
excellent. Yeah.
yeah, so I think I just did a reel on squash, butternut squash that I had harvested from
Oh, yeah. There you go.
fall 6 months ago, right? And
Right.
it in my mind, there's this journey, right? You start
Mhm.
that seed, and this is kind of how my mind thinks, is this whole entire journey of this one vegetable that I'm just going to consume. And we forget that all of the things that we consume, whether that is plant-based or some sort of meat-based product, it has a journey. And it's really beautiful, that idea of slow food, starting it from a seed, watching that grow,
Yeah.
to then be able to harvest the fruit or the vegetable that is coming off of that plant, to store that for 6 months and then utilize it to feed my family, you know, in the dead of winter where we don't have
Yeah.
vegetables growing. There's a lot of beauty in that. So that was one reel that I was doing. I'm also doing
That
a lot
is really kind of cool, though, the idea of storage crops like that, though, too, is
of.
that their continued story. It's like you know, a lot of our crops are done. Maybe, you know, of course, there's preservation that like we were mentioned before, that will preserve and do all that sort of stuff. But like these storage crops that just kind of hang out until we're ready to use them, you know, and then it's this time down the road sometime,
Yeah.
and then we're utilizing it, and we're also reflecting back to that process, like you said.
Yeah, the
It's
moments
just
that
that,
we had in the garden that made that moment, like that journey to
yeah.
get that vegetable that you're like, yes.
Yeah, you could go to a store and pick up a squash,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
don't get that with it, though.
no. And I think that's the connection that we've somewhat lost. And through a lot of my food content reels, I want to connect people back to that journey that people take when they are eating their food, right? Where does that
Yeah.
come from? How did that get to your plate? And all of the appreciation that goes with that. And then another big part of my reels right now is just preparing for the upcoming gardening season. So all
Yep.
of my seed starting is kind of begun. How to, you know, assess and plan for this upcoming garden season. So I try to take people along with that journey too, and ordering seeds, planning your garden, what seeds that I'm sowing, things of that nature.
Yeah, you got any specific tips or anything, that maybe you've learned along your years during this time of year, so
Yeah.
in your preparation for your upcoming garden?
Yeah, always. I'll start this by saying less
Yeah.
is more. I think we get really excited
Yeah.
because we're craving, right? We're all craving seeing some light.
Years later, I'm still trying to teach myself this
Same.
lesson.
Same. I have this
But
issue.
it really is a good way to start, though.
Yeah, I'm actually telling that to myself right now because
Yeah.
I have a big issue with it.
Yeah.
Less is more, but knowing when to start your seeds, and it's not going to be the same as the influencer that you're watching starting the seeds
Yeah.
that they're starting. So
Mhm.
be weary of when your last frost date is and the average length of time that that individual vegetable will need to be put into the ground to grow appropriately for the season that you're growing it in. So
Yeah.
just preparing, having your gardening calendars ready and knowing when to sow your vegetables. Less is more. And, have fun with it. It's like a science project, right?
Yeah.
My living room I'm looking at right now, I have all my seed starting racks like ready to rock and roll. And I've got microgreens. I've got all of the things kind of happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have my hydroponic unit that's right next to me here, that light that you see. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
yeah.
Yeah, and everybody here can't quite tell or anything, but actually right behind you, as far as I can tell, right here is all of my pepper seeds or seedlings. I got all my seedlings popping up for all my peppers right now.
Yep.
We're getting ready to move on to our next crops and things that we're going to do. I got some cold season stuff that I'm going to get ready to do that, just those are quick indoor things. I just do them just enough to get them to pop, and then we get them outdoors. But we got a whole process that we're getting ready to start going through and get going and everything. And it's already actually begun. Like I said, there's I'm looking right at these little baby peppers right now, and it's just it gets things exciting for sure.
I just find it so fascinating that these vegetables that we grow, right? People forget that the journey starts in the dead of winter when there is no light. It's just fun.
Yeah, and for me though too, especially being a smaller space gardener and all of that, I wish I had a greenhouse. Some people have greenhouses and things like that. That would be great, so you can get in there and do things and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of indoor, in my house stuff that just kind of has to be done,
Yeah.
But it also makes things kind of cool and fun. Like you said, you're surrounded by all of this process that's going to turn into this great wonderful garden later in the season, and it's all starting right around you in the wintertime when you're kind of cozied up to everything, right?
Yeah, you're craving that and
Yeah.
it's definitely, it makes it more intimate.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it as well too. Yep. Yeah, because it's right there in my living space. It's a part of what I'm doing on a day-to-day process right now. You go around my place and everything's gardening anyways for the most part. But right now it's like seed catalogs are still kind of out because there's still some things I'm kind of still trying to get together when it comes to some last minute stuff I want to do, or maybe trying to leave a page open to a certain spot so I can convince myself to try this new variety that I'm trying to do what you said to begin with. Try to limit myself a little bit, but I need to close that dang seed catalog eventually so I'm not tempted.
It's like candy. It's like a candy shop. It's so hard. Even the people who have all the seeds in the world, you can't, how do you refrain from ordering new seeds? It's just as exciting to get those seeds in the mail, and
oh yeah,
like a little prize.
it is. We had our friend Mark on a couple of weeks back, and he did a big order with Baker Creek this year. So he did a little unboxing where he opened, they sent him a box, is how big his order was. So, you had to open that thing up and pulled out. We did a little unboxing of all these sort of things and stuff, but that's what it's like. It's like Christmas, right? Yeah. And especially for those of you who get the whole seed catalog out there from Baker Creek, that's like getting like one of those old school Christmas toy catalogs we used to get when we were kids. You just go create, like I said, it's the fun of winter. Oh, I gotta
Circle,
have this and
cold
this.
cages.
And then it leads up to that day. You get that box, and then you get your seeds started. And we're, at that moment now where, the new season is just right there on the horizon.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Right on. I'm again too. So exciting. So much fun. I'm really excited. Lots of things to come up. So is there anything, we do have an upcoming gardening season coming, and you're doing all your planning and everything like that. You're trying to refrain, you're trying to hold back from some things as we talked about, but is there anything new that you're just, you've got to try this year?
Oh, goodness.
And maybe it isn't a crop that you're adding to your garden, but maybe it's a technique. Maybe it's a new part of your garden or something like that, or something like that. Anything kind of different happening that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I've been digging into a lot more vertical gardening lately. I have a fairly
Yes.
large garden, and I'm just trying to get a little bit more creative on how to better utilize the space. And I think that the only way to really do that is through vertical gardening. So in my mind, when I'm creating my gardening plan this year, there's going to be a lot more vertical structures, and utilizing those structures to interplant maybe crops that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to put into that bed because I didn't have enough space. Now I will have enough space because we're going to lift that up off of the ground and then grow things underneath them. So I'm constantly shuffling, organizing, reorganizing, playing with how to maximize each and every one of my beds so that I can yield the most from them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Exactly. And it really is a key to maximizing your garden is utilizing the vertical space instead of letting things spread. Let's get them to climb,
Mhm.
and then really open up some of that space for some other things as well too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Great idea. I'm gonna try a couple of different new trellising things as well this year as well too. Because in my garden's a small garden. I got small spaces, so
Yeah.
it's literally a key to my garden. I
Yeah.
mean, I have to maximize that vertical growing space, and so we do some cool things. I really get a lot out of like just building simple do-it-yourself little garden towers, you
Mhm.
know, especially for like tomatoes and things like that, because those little flimsy cages don't work. If you got a good indeterminate tomato growing, it's gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna laugh at one of those little cages. So, I do these really cool little do-it-yourself like towers that are
Mhm.
really just really great, really easy to do. And then, but there's a couple of other things I want to try. Maybe some. I want to try doing one of those like maybe kind of a cage type of tower type of thing. And I don't know. There's a couple of ideas I want to work on this
For
year.
my
So,
tomatoes, we do a
so
cattle.
vertical gardening is a part of what I'm doing too.
Yeah, we do a cattle panel trellis for my tomatoes, and it's
Mhm.
cool because I grow mostly all indeterminate tomatoes.
Yeah.
But the tomatoes grow the entire um, over the entire trellis. So by the end of the summertime, you're walking through this lush tomato trellis that you're picking tomatoes from the top and the bottom, and it adds a sense of play to your garden as well that I think we forget about when we're gardening. And I'm always thinking of that because I have a son who
Oh
gardens
yeah.
with me, and there's always a sense of play that you can add into any of your gardening spaces. And by utilizing something like vertical gardening or like creating little teepees or structures within your garden that you can then
Mhm.
go around, it adds that sense of play that I think we all enjoy, whether you're an adult or a child. So
Yeah.
it's fun to add those dynamics into your garden.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, exactly. Get in there, make it fun for the kids.
Yeah,
That's how you get them to really want to spend their time in the garden with you, and therefore
for
again
sure.
and then kids just like us will find that same fascination and kind of gratification from
Mhm.
that connection from nature, just like we will too. So it's really important to bring the kids in on that. I just had my first granddaughter this year.
Oh,
I
congratulations.
say first because I'm hoping, well, she says more than me, my first granddaughter this year. So I'm really excited about getting some kids in the garden again this in this next coming generation too. So
They bring
really
the
important
magic
to do.
out of you. You know, they're still so vulnerable and they're curious about the entire process, and it is pure magic to them, right? We
Yeah.
forget that what's actually happening is magical, and
Mhm.
they just remind you of that that time where you saw things through the lens of a child. That is magic, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's fun to play with that because we're all children inside too, right? We all have that
Mhm. But
childlike.
maybe a little bit too, I think as adults, we kind of lose connection with
Mhm.
what you were just saying there is that early fascination in life with almost everything around you because life is a complete learning experience when you're that young and or
Definitely.
young at all. And then as we get to be adults, we take learning experiences different than we did when we were kids sometimes. And that's something I think we could another reason, I guess, it's really important to get some kids out in the garden and show them what to do is not just for the kids themselves, but maybe for yourself to
Mhm.
reconnect with what it's like to be fascinated with things on that level again, too. So, being around and teaching kids there's a mutual benefit.
Mhm. For sure.
Yeah, yeah, just amazing. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun
Mhm.
to get my little granddaughter in the garden spaces. And it's gonna also, it's gonna start this summer anyways. When she's not even gonna remember it, but
No,
we'll
it's
we'll,
okay.
we'll have tons of pictures of her everywhere. Right on, right on. So again, too, you touched on the fact too that part of your gardening and part of your growing again too. You say you have you grow commercially as well too because you're growing things for what you have is a little shop. Is it this like a little? Is it like a little deli or something? A little kind of kind
It's a
of a
little in
variety
my
shop in a way, right?
yeah, in my in this journey, so I was up in corporate America up until probably
Yeah.
2 years ago, and I had my gardening blog, my creative blog on the side, teaching people how to garden, and it was always a passion of mine to create something, a brick and mortar of this gardening blog. Like, how do I translate that garden to table into something that more people can consume or more people can enjoy? And so, not yet 2 years ago, I opened up a little shop in my town, and it's called Local Provisions, and
Mm.
it's an extension of Hook and Garden. So it's my way to express myself creatively through food, and it's a little cafe that my whole town can enjoy, and people who are coming into town. It's a juice and smoothie bar, and we also offer seasonal toasts, so things like avocado toast in the summertime, like tomato toast, things of that nature.
Oh, wow.
All of our salads, I try to create seasonal salads that feature different ingredients that we are growing in the garden at that time of year. Wraps and sandwiches are the same. So just utilizing the components that we're growing in the garden and bringing them into the shop to share them with the public, and again translate and continue to show people how easy it is to bring the food that you're growing to something that you're eating and you're enjoying and consuming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, too, I love some of that stuff too, and it sounds so good. Those
Yeah.
different breads that you're talking about. Again, those sort of things, I've got to rely on folks like yourself to do those sort of creative things so that I can enjoy them because, yeah, that sounds really great. And where again is this? You said New York,
Yep.
right?
So
So
we're
if
located
anybody in the New York area can come in, enjoy some of this at what's it called, Local Provisions.
Local Provisions, and it's in West Hampton Beach, New
Okay.
York. It's just a little small cafe that you can come and have breakfast, lunch, and
Yeah.
enjoy some in season. I mean, right now all I'm really using is microgreens, but in
Mhm.
season there's a lot of yummy featured things that we are harvesting from the garden, and it's
Yeah.
fun. So
So I imagine here in a couple of months, though, the menu is going to expand a little bit, and there's going to be a lot of great fresh stuff coming right from your own garden, huh?
exactly.
Wow, right on. And so, is this something? I mean, you're just always kind of playing around with new things, or is this or do you just have some regular things that you just are consistent on the menu, kind of
Yes.
thing,
So we have
or a
a
little of both, I suppose?
yeah, we have our staple menu items that are always there. And then we offer seasonal additions as we move through spring. Like in the springtime, I feature something. We did an open face snap pea toast, which featured snap peas from the garden. And as summer moved on, we had like an open face peach toast, and it had beautiful arugula and fresh local peaches and prosciutto and hot honey. So, it's not just from the garden, but the key ingredients, or the ingredients that are highlighted are the things that are in season. And then the tomato toast, which, I mean, there's really nothing fancy about a tomato toast, but there's really nothing quite better than a really fresh piece of bread and a delicious tomato that's in season. So just keeping it simple, right? I don't think that needs to be complicated. It can be extremely simple. And I think that's when it's the best, is when we don't overcomplicate things and we just lean into what's in season.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the peach toast. I'm telling you, I'm fascinated with that. This thing sounds great.
So
I love peaches. Everybody knows peaches are if there's any favorite fruit I have, it's peaches. Maybe figs too, but peaches for sure.
Yeah, I love peaches too. And in season peaches, when they're just sweet and delicious, it was an open faced toast on sourdough bread. And we did a lemon ricotta spread on the sourdough bread with peaches and then some fresh arugula, salt, pepper, a little bit of fresh lemon juice, and olive oil. We topped it with prosciutto, and we added hot honey to it. So,
ooh, hot honey.
Making our own hot honey. So we also have bees, and we harvest the honey from the beehives and make our own hot honey. And just there's components that I'm not necessarily making, but I try to utilize local bakers for bread and try to pull in all of the different components to create these really garden fresh toasts.
Oh, right on. Now you got me on this hot honey. That's just my bees are my big thing. For years now, I've been wanting to have my own beehives and things like that. So I'm always fascinated with them. I got to go and visit actually my first beehives. I went to go and do a little segment we did for the show at the Southern Oregon Bee Association here in Oregon. Wow. And so I got to put on my first bee suit and get around all of these different beehives, and it was just so exhilarating and so much fun and just really cool, so fascinating. I love bees. I love the whole idea of that sort of stuff. So you have your own beehives there?
Yes.
And so you're harvesting your own honey. So this hot honey is your own thing that you're making as well then?
Yeah, while we have the honey, we go through it fairly quickly at the shop, but I try to utilize all that we harvest to put it in either smoothies or toasts or in some of the dressings that we're making at the shop. So yeah, this past year I made a hot honey and it was a huge hit and it was delicious. You get that salty, that sweet, that little spiciness. So yum.
Yeah. And also anything you can glaze with honey.
I mean, can't go wrong.
The hot honey is the best for that sort of stuff.
Yep.
I'm telling you. So do you grow the peppers?
I do.
Yep. Yeah. Which kind of peppers did you use for your hot honey?
I love a Scotch bonnet.
There you go. Just good mid-range heat.
And they have a unique flavor. I love making hot sauce with Scotch bonnets as well. So that's one of my most favorite peppers to utilize for things I want heat in, but to also give it a unique flavor that's not like a jalapeno, right? Or like something that lends itself more to like that maybe not necessarily like smokiness, but Scotch bonnet is complex in a way that really makes great hot sauce and a good addition to something like a hot honey.
Yeah. Those would be perfect. Any of those sort of mid-range peppers, but especially like you said, Scotch bonnet's got kind of a good unique flavor for that range, because this is that range of pepper where you're starting to get into like, I don't know about flavor anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of why they make good ones to use for this, because you're getting a good level of heat.
Yep.
That's making you kind of go, oh, what did I just do? But then at the same time, you still get some good pepper flavor and all of that. And it's not starting to get ridiculous.
No, and it lends, so it's almost floral Scotch bonnets, I find, right? So the undertones of a Scotch bonnet are a little bit more floral. So paired with a honey, it's pretty magical.
Yeah. Let's see. David Bowtie Life Garden says Peri Peri. I haven't heard of that one. I'm about to check that out. Is another great pepper in that range. Yeah. Another good one that's got got a decent little heat level to it. That's got a really great flavor. Was really all the rage years ago, a few years back. Is Sugar Rush Peach peppers.
I do use
those are delicious, right there. I'm telling you. Yeah. In fact, I think there might be some. I think I did do some again this year, so there might be some starts over there. Some of those Sugar Rush peaches, because they're delicious, and that I would probably make a good hot honey as well too.
Yeah, I haven't experimented with Sugar Rush peach, but I do grow them in the garden. So I put them I do a fermented hot sauce in the summertime. I'm still using it right now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
and again, when you pair that with different, you get all different peppers that have different spice levels, but the complexity of flavor when you add something like a Sugar Rush peach is magical.
Go back to just peaches, right?
Exactly.
Right. Pair some peach with some Sugar Rush peach peppers. I'll bet you find something in a sauce like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh boy. David says he wants to try those Sugar Rush peach. I'm trying Dorset Naga this year. Oh my gosh, though. This is where we're getting into that range where 800 to 1.6 is, that's where we're getting into ridiculous heat, and it's hard to find flavor in peppers that hot. Yeah. It's fun to grow them though. I always try to get try to get a mid-million variety of pepper into my garden every year as well too, because they're always fun.
Yeah, I always have a Carolina Reaper plant. I don't know why. I have dried them. I've made, pepper flakes, but it's just, they're so hot. It takes the joy out of eating anything. So, but I continue to still grow them. I don't, who knows? I'm a glutton for my own punishment.
Right. Oh, here's a question from Big West Lawn Care joining us in the chat there. Good to see you, Wes. What should I grow as my first pepper for ease of growing? Yeah.
I love an
Stay away from here. If you want, I'll just say this for my advice real quick and then yours. But my first key to, if you're looking for ease of growing, stay away from really hot peppers. They can be really finicky. They can take longer to start up and germinate. They just make those a little bit later. Start for something kind of, like I said, maybe mid-range or maybe a sweet pepper or something.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I would recommend the same. So all spicy peppers require a certain level of heat for germination, and they just take longer to yield. Some of my favorite beginner peppers are things like banana peppers, and ancho poblanos are great. Any like lunchbox peppers are another really great variety to grow. Those are 3 unique flavored peppers that I love.
Yeah. So again, too, like I said, that if you're looking for something that's some really good, got some heat to it, but some good flavor, you mentioned the one you grew there, as well as the Sugar Rush peach I mentioned. Those are okay. Like I said, for if you want something that's hot, they can try. But again, too, what do you really like? And this is what I always say when people are asking, what should I try or what should I do? Really, in the long run, I say ultimately, try one you really like, and then again, just get that growing process started and figure it out, and go, just get started and grow one that you really like. Somebody
in the chat said jalapeno, cayenne, Tabasco. Those are all fairly easy peppers to grow too, if you want something that is spicy. That's a really good.
Yeah, exactly. Like your good, just general hot sauce spiciness that you're looking for in a pepper that you can eat fresh or whatever. Yeah. Cayennes, Tabascos. Maybe if you want to kick it up just a small notch, get into some Serrano, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I love peppers. Peppers are my favorite.
Same. I think I grew like 35 varieties of peppers last year.
35 you got?
Yeah.
See, again, this gets me back. Okay, this gets us all the way back to the beginning of the conversation for us.
Yeah.
This is my pepper issue every single year. Is I've got to limit myself. I really only got so much space, and I've only got I have to I go through the garden where I've got each space and everything. So I put a little, a little circle and mark each of my spaces, and then I number out each of my peppers and try to get them down to, and then I have to. So I'll start with a main list. Again, probably 30, 35, like you got. This is what I want to do. And I have to break it down, and it just gets harder and harder every time. No, I can't do that one. No, I can't do that because I just can't fit it in anywhere anymore.
I always do. So this is kind of like my own like little trick when I'm in a garden or when I'm advising somebody on how to plant a garden is you create a list of need, want, and wish.
Yes,
right?
There you go. Yep.
You have your needs, which are the things that are staples in your everyday menu, right? Like what do you actually eat? What are the things that you're going to the grocery store or the farm stand to purchase? Those are your needs. Your wants are the things that you would like to have if you have a little bit more space, but they're not like necessities. Maybe those are the things that you want to experiment and try, something new. And then your wishes are, if in an ideal world I had all the space, where would that fall? Maybe that would just be like a wish. So maybe I'm not necessarily growing it this year, but it's on my list of things that can move within those categories at any point in time in any season.
Yeah, exactly. Kevin says 35 varieties. Wow. Did any cross pollinate? This, and again too, for that, I'll say too, this is one of the reasons why for me in my small space garden and in my pepper growing, I grow from new seed each year. So I don't collect pepper seed because they cross-pollinate pretty easily, and I grow them all right next to each other and around each other in big groupings and all that sort of stuff. So I don't save seed. So when it comes down to it, I'm always seeking out new seed each year. Plus, one of the other things too is that I have a few mainstays that I'll go to and grow every year because I really enjoy those. But for the most part, I'm trying new varieties. There's so many great varieties of peppers out there. So I'm always trying to do new varieties and that sort of stuff. So I'm always bringing in new seed as well. But again, too, you want to isolate peppers if you want to avoid cross-pollination, or if you do intend on saving seeds of a certain variety because maybe, you can't find it anywhere else, something like that, or maybe it's a special cross of your own. And at that point in time, you want to make sure you're isolating them if you're growing in groups.
Well said.
But do you have any issues with that? Do you save seed, or when
I
it
don't
comes
save
to
my pepper seeds? No. I'm moving through I used to save seed when I was like small scale, and there are some crops that I will save seeds from, but my peppers are not seeds that I save. I tend to just utilize them and purchase new the next year.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to, again, too, this is a great way for me to promote. This year, I'm doing kind of a series playlist all on my process of growing peppers, how I've been doing and growing peppers for all these years and all of that. And I really haven't dabbled in much. I did a few years back, isolated to save some seeds, again for that reason I mentioned. I had a variety I wanted to keep. I couldn't find it really anywhere else, so I isolated some pods and everything. But I'm going to do that this year as a part of this series as well too. So we're going to isolate a certain variety, and we're going to do the whole seed saving process as well too when it comes to that. So look forward to all of that in the upcoming season as well.
Yeah, that gardening summit sounded really awesome too. There sounds like there's like so much great content that's going to be coming up from that.
Yeah, again, too, we're at the beginning of the garden season. There's a lot going on. We're late February now. It's going to be March. Spring's right around the corner, and so it's time to take part in some of these great fun garden summits there's several out there. There's another one I think called the Great Grow Along, which is really great, coming up this next week as well. And those things are fun, and they're usually free. just to get in, just to watch. And again, too, you got to be on top of it, though. If you're going to watch some of these garden summits, they are usually free for like that first week. You know what I mean? So you got to be there live. You got to be there on the days, and then they'll let them be available for a certain time after that. And then after that, that's kind of what these summits are about, is to, again, they'll have packages they put together that you can go back and check things out and stuff, or upgrade to into some other things they do. And I know, this summit and the other one, Great Grow Along, I do some really cool extra stuff that they do for their summit and some of their packages and everything. But the free stuff you get with these is pretty amazing, just to get to, sort of like what we do here on our show, get to talk to gardeners like yourself and just kind of dig into gardening and learn a little bit more about some things that maybe we don't quite have a handle on yet, so that we can maybe get to working and experimenting and trying that stuff out in our upcoming garden. Because again, it's the perfect time of year to dig into some garden learning too.
There's so many different ways to do things as well. I can have my own way and of growing something, and you are growing it completely in a different way. And it's cool to be open-minded and inspired and re-inspired. And even for a master gardener, somebody who's this is, their profession and it's what they do, there is always something that can be learned. So it's just a matter of having an open mind and kind of feeding that creativity with other people and how they're doing things, and being open to change how maybe you're doing things. And maybe it's better, maybe it's not, but it's kind of cool to have that community that we can all grow and learn from.
Man, I'm telling you, I've been on this subject. This has been my terror for the last few weeks now, is the idea of community and what that means to us as home gardeners. And you kind of touched on that there, is that a lot of us out here who are sharing our garden experiences and all of that, unless you're really local to me, a lot of, what I do and timing and things like that, really, might not apply to what you do. So a lot of what we do in sharing what we do, really, and you mentioned this is the key word, inspiration. To inspire and to get people out there and to do that. And then, there's methods and things and a lot of learning to do. There's a lot of learning to do in that process from all of us as well, too. But getting that inspiration as well from each of us who are sharing our gardens out there is the key point of that sort of stuff. And so that's a lot of like what our show's about here. That's a lot of what these garden summits are about. That's a lot of what all of this opportunity for us to have these conversations about, is to learn and get inspired from each other, and build, again, too, this idea of community. And the more we do that, I think it's really important right now. What do you think about that? Literally, like in this day and age, too, without getting too deep into other things going on outside of the gardening world. But things are heavy nowadays for everybody, and the garden can be a great escape. So what do you think about that, in the sense of the idea of the necessity of building community also in this time as well, and to being able to utilize our garden experiences and that sort of stuff to help do that, to bring people together, versus what we see a lot of as people just kind of isolating in a sense, and
I think that there's
falling apart, right?
Yeah, there's a lot that's happening right now in the world and in general that is very divisive, and it's polarizing. So people are kind of, like you said, isolating. And what is beautiful about the community is that it is all encompassing. And within a garden or a community that's created around a gardening aspect, there can be polarizing things in anything, but generally speaking, it brings people together in a really healthy way. And it's, we're all trying to be a little bit more sustainable. We're all trying to contribute on any scale, whether that's to be wholly self-sufficient, or whether that's just to experiment and play and learn from that experimentation and play. So community in the garden is something that I have really enjoyed. And I think it's what has surprised me the most about having this vlog, Hook and Garden, is how much community that there is. Like when I first started this, I had no idea. In my mind, I was like, who's going to care about growing tomatoes or me teaching people how to grow tomatoes?
Exactly.
You find your community, right? You find your people, the people that are being fed by the same passions, and you can share positive things. Like sharing positivity in this divisive time is, I think, extremely important. Anything that can pull us away in a healthy way, not as a unhealthy distraction, but as something that is community building and a connection point that will help us all grow, is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, in this online community and in all this other stuff, speaking of this garden summit and these other things and this show and other gardening discussion shows like this as well too, bringing that all together, community, creating this community here. Also, the idea of community as we're building from ourselves locally and all of that too, is a huge thing. I think it's something I'm talking a lot about right now as well. I watched this video just a little while back ago, and I don't know, she's really popular. She has a channel called Anne of All Trades. And she did a video a little while back ago talking about, and you brought this up, sustainability and self-sustainability, because she set herself on that mission when she got into growing and gardening and setting up her little urban homestead type of thing that she was getting, goats and different things and doing all this stuff, and had this idea of like, well, I'm going to create a level of self-sustainability. I'm going to do this and make and do it. And so that's her channel, Anne of All Trades, is that she went about teaching herself all of this different stuff it was going to take to build kind of like a little farm or whatever, right? And to be able to maintain it, maintenance, everything, welding, all this great content. I love her channel.
Cool.
Hopefully I can get her on this thing, but she did this video. And it was so enlightening to me. And it just really, really, it's just driven something in me lately. But she did this video talking about how that was her mission to begin with, right? But then what she found along the process was that what she actually was learning and needed and gained through the process she underwent was community, not self-sustainability. What she found was that there's sustainability in community, not self-sustainability. Which was so, like, I was just so powerful in the way I was thinking about how we view things, or the outlook we've had for a while now. It's been, there's a lot of different communities and talk within, say, homesteading communities or prepper communities, and these different things about kind of this idea of like, we need to be prepared. There's this, all this sort of stuff could happen, right? And we've seen that. I mentioned that earlier with this Great American Seed Up, right? And I'm so sorry, I'm like totally talking so much here, but I'm really on this one right now. But like the idea that, there's only so much access to certain things, and eventually we're going to have to rely on things more localized, right? So, when the pandemic hit, the seed companies weren't prepared for the demand. So we could use some localized seed banks, things like that, right? But what we find there is that that's where community is involved, in a local level, where we can find that and build that sort of stuff right here in our own areas, in our own communities, and bring people together, utilizing gardening and growing. Again, now too, to also bring together people with different backgrounds and thoughts and ideas about all that other stuff that's pulling people apart right now. Create a common ground, right? With what we all care about and are passionate about, create a level of community that can create a level of sustainability, right? And then at that point in time, what we've done is we've now allowed for us to kind of reestablish conversation about some of those other things, right? Which is what we get. We get a better sense of each other in community. All right, I'm sorry. I'll go on and on and on about that, but I don't know. I think there's a lot in there, and every time I hear about this or someone touches on that, it just really sets that fire off in me. I think that's something big we need to be looking at as we move forward.
For how divisive that we are, I think what it all comes back to is this strong need to come together, right?
Yes.
And I think we're seeking that in some way, whether it comes through being divisive or whether it comes through something like gardening. I think the more we lean into needing each other and creating these healthy communities, the more that we personally get out of them, and the more that we grow. So
exactly. Yeah, key word again right there, and you mentioned it, healthy, right?
Yeah.
Healthy communities. We got to create healthy communities that can, encourage folks of again, different ideals and backgrounds and all that sort of stuff to find a common ground, to come together instead of pulling apart.
Yep.
Because when we come together, it's man, and here's the thing I've always find, and it's social media anymore, I think, is a real big contributor to the problem we face today. But every time I'm sitting with somebody who we have different opinions about things, we end up having great conversations.
Mm-hmm.
We have completely different opinions. We have great conversations. We can kind of see someone, and there's people who are a little dug in a little bit on certain things, and you kind of agree to disagree in certain things. But if you can find a way to have a good, decent conversation with somebody, and I always find that, so there's opportunity out there for us to do that. And I think if we get involved a little more locally, especially in the gardening community, utilizing this community especially to build a wider community of people using our garden spaces to create those common grounds, then we as gardeners can really contribute a lot to helping change things moving forward, and hopefully build these better, more thriving, and as you say, great key word, healthy communities.
Yeah, it's cool to have translated my blog into a brick and mortar where people can come to, and experience that on some level. There's a really, it's a beautiful community that I'm creating within my community, for lack of having to say it any differently. But there's an experience that I think that I'm responsible for, and that is to make it positive. And I thoroughly enjoy translating the garden in that space to make people feel welcome and to create, whether they know it or not, right? Like they don't have to know about my blog to enjoy food, but it's cool when it all connects together and they feel a part of something bigger than this finite toast or smoothie that they're just
right. Yeah, exactly. And again, too, one of the things I really liked about exactly how you started the interview too is kind of touching on what you were just saying there, is that, I've got this, cafe, this shop, people can come right by and see what's going on. You're right off the bat inviting, you know what I mean? And that's such a great thing. That's the same thing for me. My gardens and my space I have here that I grow out of are very public facing. I'm just right out of my downtown area right here. I've got a couple of alleyways that people are constantly walking their dogs. And I actually have a neighbor who walks his cat. He literally walks his cat, no leash, even through my alleyway, and so I've got community that comes through here as well too. And I'm always welcoming in a sense, like, you have any questions, or anything you want to learn, anything you want to know about, here's some tomatoes for you. It's, during the real harvest time of season, it's really not uncommon for people to be coming out of my alleyway carrying things. Because I'm giving them to them as they're coming through and stuff like that. But being
100%.
welcoming to people is a good way to start, and especially with the projects that we've got, as gardeners, and for you as well, taking it to that next level with with that cool cafe that you do with your garden and everything too. It's just wonderful stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on. Excellent, man. Just so great. Actually, just as I said to everybody else, and everybody knows, this weekend was really a plan for me to be up in Seattle. I'm supposed to be in Seattle this weekend at the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival up there. And things didn't work out quite, so I'm here. So I kind of was trying to throw together these last shows and everything, so it kind of worked out in a way too. Again, we've been trying to get you on a couple of other ones. We had a miscommunication on the last one, which was like, man, totally my fault when it goes down to it. I know it, but it's really great that you were willing to jump on and come and hang out with us here for this Sunday edition show, which is just kind of thrown together last minute this weekend. So really awesome, and just an amazing conversation. I love these subjects, so it's great to have someone on here to talk with them about, and then also to just sit here and listen to me ramble on, as everybody knows sometimes, about some of these things that just really, just really kick some passion in me about some of this stuff that I just really think are really, really important.
Yeah, and I genuinely appreciate this space that you've created, this container that you've created around gardening,
right,
and inspiring people to create a larger community. So any opportunity that I can can have to come on and share any of my experiences is a privilege. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. And you're always on my list ever since, I still remember back. And again, we don't talk too much about what it was exactly.
Mm-mm.
But I still remember that first little Zoom meeting, and we all getting to meet each other and everything like that, and getting to meet you and all of that as well too. And it's kind of fun to see kind of where things are, have gone since then, and to see where we are today, and then as well too to again kind of have this fun online friendship and connection and collaboration between what we both do and share our spaces with each other as well too. So it's really great. It's been really fun. Right on, Jennifer. Well, thank you so much again, and we do really look forward to, like I said, you're always on my list. You're always on my mind for future shows and things like that as we move forward. And so again, we really do look forward to seeing and having you back again. And real quick before you do go, though, let's just do a little sign off here, kind of like kind of let everybody know again a little bit more about Hook and Garden, where they can find you, and of course, everybody knows they can find you in a link down below in the description, but you go ahead and let them know as well too before we.
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me, my blog, Hook and Garden, on Instagram, as well as TikTok and YouTube. I'm not as present on YouTube, but via TikTok and Instagram, I have the blog Hook and Garden, and you can also follow my shop if you're ever in New York and you want to come and visit and say hello and get some yummy food at Local Provisions WHB. So between the two, you'll find me.
Excellent. And hopefully you'll be showing up at her little cafe there at the time of year, and you can get some of that peach toast. I'm telling you, that stuff sounds good. That hot honey sounds excellent. I bet you it's wonderful. And I sure look forward to I love New York. It's been so many years since I've been over there, been out in Long Island like that as well too. I love it out there. So sometime I'm going to get the opportunity to get out there as well myself too. But again, thank you, Jennifer, for being here with us today. It was so wonderful talking to you. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
You got it. All right. Excellent. All right. So much fun today. These were really such a wonderful show. It turned out to be just being a last minute put together show. We put something really great together, talking with Audrey Crawford earlier. Audrey Crawford from Audrey's Little Farm. Earlier in the show, we had her on to talk all about her Spring Gardening Summit. The Spring Gardening Summit kicks off, I think, what is it, tonight? Did she say tonight, tomorrow? It's soon. It's kicking off real soon. So you're going to want to get on it. I've got a link right down below in the description. Go get yourself a free ticket. Go check out all of the great speakers there. Like I said, you got a great presentation from our good friend Bevan Cohen over at the Small House Farm. Josh Gardens over from the Plant Techie, Carly McQuarrie from Little Green Shoots, all previous guests of our show, doing presentations over there at the Spring Garden Summit. Definitely go and check that out. And like I said, we'll get Audrey back on the show, maybe for one of our Are You Following Me segments on a Saturday show or something, and catch up with her and learn just a little bit more about Audrey's Little Farm. But really awesome of her to jump in with us today to share about her Spring Gardening Summit. And as well, again, thank you to Jennifer Neubauer from Hook and Garden for spending her time today to talk all about gardening and her shop and all of that sort of stuff. Again, too, that hot honey and everything sounds so delicious. But again, thanks to Jennifer for being with us today for our show. And if you didn't see yesterday's show, I was mentioning we had a really great fun show as well too. Kind of had to throw it together as well last minute, but we ended up having really great time. Mark Boucher Colbert, Mr. MBC from our In the Garden segment here on the Sunday edition of the show, joined with us yesterday live from the Northwest Flower Garden Show, kind of played correspondent for us for the last couple of days, and shot some video the day before. We put together a cool little video package of some of the highlights of the show that he saw there, and then he also kind of gave us a look around live and talked all about the show with him and our good friend Wendy Fan from Wendyland as well too. She was there the first couple of days of the show. She got invited with the Epic Gardening crew to talk small space gardening there at the show. So she did a talk there, and then had a bunch of fun doing a bunch of other things. So we caught up with her and brought her on live yesterday as well to talk all about how much fun she had during the first couple of days of the show with us as well too. So ended up being a great show. So if you didn't see yesterday's show, definitely go back and check that out as well too, for sure. Again, next Saturday, don't miss out. Next Saturday, coming up on the show for next Saturday, we've got a special guest with us, Mr. Charles Dowding, the no-dig gardening guru for sure. I can't wait. Been wanting to talk to him for a long time. I wanted to talk to Charles Dowding. I've been following him for many, many years, and it's going to be really fun to get to chat with him, as well as in our Are You Following Me segment for next Saturday as well too. We got set up to come up here with Charles Dowding from the UK, up in Scotland. We've got In the Garden with Ellie and Kate. They're going to join with us as well too to talk all about their upcoming gardening seasons, and yeah, just going to be a fun, great gardening discussion. And then again, I'm still kind of working on throwing together a roundtable for next Sunday, but definitely join with us again this next weekend for some fun shows, as well as, again, I'll talk about, we do have our monthly gardening book club. Our monthly gardening book club, each month on the third Sunday of the month, we feature a particular book that we've been featuring all month, and talk to the author. We kind of, with our good friend again, Mark Colbert, Mr. NBC, joins with us live on that third Sunday to be my co-host and to hang out and talk with me and interview our authors. This month we are featuring Kim Stoddart from the Climate Change Resilient Vegetable Garden. That's her book we're featuring this month, and she'll be with us on, I believe that's March 16th, third Sunday of the month. She'll be joining with us. And if you saw yesterday's show when Mark was with us live there, he kind of caught her in the background there. She was filming some stuff there too. So she's up at the Northwest Flower Garden Show visiting from the UK right now as well too. That's why I'm really bummed I missed that show. I'm so bummed, but I got to hang out with all of you anyways. You just made up for it big time, because it's always great to hang out with all of you guys. I just appreciate you all showing up here all the time to just hang out with me and have such a great fun gardening conversation for sure. Right on. Let's see here. Dusty Flat says it's Ellie. I don't know. I'm telling you, so I'm gonna ruin. I can ruin names sometimes, and that's a real tough challenge for a host of any sort of show like this when you've got such a variety of people from around the world, is getting people's names right. Is it? Let's see here. Jay says, is it Eli? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Let me catch. I got to get it right though. I got to get it right by next Saturday, right? Thank you guys for helping me out with right here. Rob's Alive in the Garden says, I'm gonna get in trouble if I say it that way. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Right, okay. Yes, Eli, is that right? Eli, okay. Bowtie, thank you so much. All right, so you better not be leading me in the wrong direction. We'll find out next Saturday for sure. We'll have them here with us, joining with us for sure. And Dusty Flat says, yes, Eli. Okay, all right. Jay says, perfect. All right, there we go. So we're set then. Thank you so much for that help there too, so I don't embarrass myself next Saturday talking to them. It's going to be so fun, so much fun getting to see what they've got growing on in their garden coming up. But let's see here. Let's see. And real quick, everybody, thank you again for joining with me here today. If you can, before we head out here, click that like button, hit the thumbs up, click the subscribe button and the bell notification to be notified of upcoming videos and live streams, as well as share with all of your friends out there, all of your garden friends, garden groups. Help us get the word out about the show and let everybody know about this great. This is dual fun gardening conversations going on this show. It's so much fun. We get a great conversation with our great fun guests that we have here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. And then you guys get this great fun gardening and fun conversation with each other in the chat as well too. It's been so much fun actually. This new year we've been getting started. This year is just off to a great start with both our guests and our chat this year. So really, really great. Get the word out. Let everybody know. Follow all the descriptions down below. And as well, one more time, I want to do one more quick promo. It is still February for this last week. We've got one more week left for you to join, to go check out Ivy Organics at ivyorganics.com. Go get some of that 3-in-1 plant garden, and then you can participate in their 8th annual free fig cutting giveaway. So if you buy anything out of their shop until the end of this month on the 28th, you can pick out some free fig cuttings in order to grow some figs in your garden in this upcoming season. Go buy some of that stuff in their shop and be sure to save an extra 10% by using our promo code GROW10. GROW10, that's GROW 10. And again, like you said, you could save 10% off and get some of those free fig cuttings. We had Charles on the show again too, just a little while back ago, a week before last, I think, and talking all about the different varieties of figs they got this year, and they always got an amazing variety. So make sure you go and get some of those figs as well too. So great stuff there. And again, everybody, let's see here. I'm trying to see, is there anything else I've got to mention to you all before we head out, other than just having a great gardening week? You know, it's just really so fun to hang out with all of you and talk about gardening. So I also look forward to seeing you all this next Saturday for next week's shows. So we'll see all of you then.